Hi everybody. The live stream I set up, I cannot get to work, so I've had to set up a new one. My apologies. I'm just going to put the link just to say the live stream is now running on another platform. Hi guys. Hi, we're here. Sorry, live stream that I set up I couldn't get to set up. I've just been shuffling. Bottom of the deck, well not bottom of the deck, but the card on the bottom of the deck right here is the Divine Lovers. So everything's fine. Everything's fine. Sorry for the delay. It's lovely to have you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So yes, just a live stream session for the annual 12 card reading for Twin Flames, Higher Love, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter, but really if you're here, it's for you. It doesn't really matter what story or circumstance has brought you here. So it's 12 cards for you for January through to December 2020. Thank you for being here. Just a little bit more of a shuffle and then we will get going. It's been a funny old day today actually. I actually feel like it's moved into a little bit of it's kind of a bit of an open space. This space between Christmas and New Year, or this whole holiday period, is always a little bit kind of chaotic. And I don't mean that chaotic kind of as in this kind of issue with the live stream and things. I mean, it's just people are just not doing their usual routine. And that does have a big impact. But I do feel as though there's a bit of a transition period happening over into 2020, and it's a different, you know, we're stepping into a different place, a different energy. It feels very, very different. So yes. Oh yes, just to say, if you would like a reading, a personal private reading, there is a half price offer right now where you can get a half-an-hour reading for $111, $111, and I will include a yearly reading in that if you want to get one for the year. So I'm now adding some extra space, some extra spaces. Wait until the end of the live stream. Well, you can book now, the link is in the description. But at the end of the live stream, I'm going to be adding some more spaces. So if there is not a space there that looks good for you in your time zone, I'll be adding those. So yeah, I think we're nearly ready. Almost cooked on the cards. Here we go. And let's just go straight in. 1, 2, 3. Couple of other things actually. If you're drawn to the Patreon, if you like the masculine feminine readings, if you're drawn to the Patreon, please do check that out, because I do masculine feminine readings every Sunday live, kind of like this, and it's a very interesting group. If you feel drawn to change, if you want to transform the whole way you live your life, having this kind of thing every week live makes a difference. It's really about you tuning into you, all of this, always. But if you just want to be here on YouTube, that's cool. It's all cool with me. So we're going to go straight in. So what's this theme for 2020? What card do we have? Wow, Page of Cups, love it. He was popping out to say hello whilst I was shuffling actually quite a lot. And he's all about He's all about unconditional love, really, but this kind of unconditional love in a very childlike way, in a childlike manner. So I really feel as though the big message for 2020 is love easily, love effortlessly, love like a child loves. We're born open. A newborn baby, well, a newborn baby still kind of acclimatizing to the environment, but babies, they'll meet a stranger's eyes and a stranger smiles and they smile back. Or they don't have essentially any fear of others. I mean, they have intuition and they respond to their environment very, very powerfully. But they find it very, very easy to love. And this is the energy of this Page of Cups card. It's about loving with an extra fish, loving generously. That's what I really love about this card, is it's about loving generously. This is the only cup in the whole set of cups in the tarot where there is a fish, an extra little fish. And I always feel like that's kind of saying love a little bit extra. Pages are childlike. It's easy energy, it's flowing energy, it's generosity. So I really feel like there's actually going to be a collective shift whereby it's more easy for us to love one another. And it really is about that, about kindness and about love. So first card for January. This is interesting. February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Middle of this circular spread, I have the Page of Cups. First card for January is the World. This is a strange, it might be a strange card to begin with, but it doesn't feel strange to me because this World is about completion. The World is the last card in the major arcana of the tarot deck, and it's completion. It's number 21. Which is kind of interesting because we're going into 2020. 21 is the next year. So it's almost as though it's already done. And I feel like the message is, it is already done. It's already done. It's already completed. How does that feel? I really feel as though it's going to feel like a shift. There is a page turn into January 2020. And we're stepping into a new world, a whole new world. I'm going to say not everybody is going to experience that. If you're here, it's here for you to experience. Will it be that you may need to kind of like up level maybe, or increase or expand your perspective to get into this experience of a new world? Yes, it might take a little bit of focus and a little bit of really its openness and generosity as per this Page of Cups. But it's as though we step into completion. We're stepping into a new world, a world which is built around you. This World card is about a figure floating in, it's almost like I'm kind of drawn to this, you know, in the womb kind of amniotic fluid kind of swimming way. The self is very much part of experiencing the world, but it's the self that's naked. She's kind of naked, this figure, but she's a little bit covered, but she's free. There are no inhibitions. She's there to be herself. Doesn't matter what sexual gender, you know, the being is, but it's that she is floating in her experience, and it's saying that the world is built around you. It's your world. You get to decide. So it's very much focused on the self, but also just manifestation. It's about manifestation. It's about completion. It's about really experiencing that everything is at your fingertips and to float through it. So if there's any advice for this month, it's really, it's a vibrational kind of experience, meaning it's about your thoughts and perspectives and what you're choosing to focus upon. And it's about believing, it's about faith. If you believe that there's a new world you can step into for January 2020, it's there. That's basically the crux of it. moving on to February. Card for February is the Seven of Pentacles. There's going to be a shift in February to do with day-to-day aspects of life, career, finance, money, but really it's the tangibles. You know, this guy's kind of a bit of a gardener. He's gardening, he's kind of in the earth, he's in the soil. He's looking at what he has achieved, what he has created, the work that he has done. He's looking back on it. This is about looking at your physical material existence, your physical material life. So for February, there's going to be a little bit of a hiatus maybe in terms of what we're doing, so that we can look at what we've achieved with a view to maybe doing something different. It makes sense. It follows on from that world card. We step into a new world, and then in February, it may seem as though the practical world that you have built around you isn't quite in alignment with who you are now, or who you have become, who you become in your fullness. I just want to say that all these energies, it's almost like it goes through. So it's not like that January is just going to be this card and February is just going to be this card. It's that January is this card, February is this card and this card. March is going to be whatever this card and whatever the next card is. So I really have this feeling, which is different from when I've done this spread before in the past. This is the first time this has been done on YouTube. I've usually done it on my private separate Zoom sessions, which would be Patreon right now. Previously, it has very much felt as though each month was kind of separate. This feels as though it carries on. This world energy carries through into this February energy. So the January energy carries into the February energy. So it's just that we're building the picture up. So every energy stays present. It's a bit like when there are groups meeting and you have to try and remember people's names, and you might go around the circle and you have to, I think you sing a song or someone goes shopping and they have to add something on. It's like a memory game. It's a bit like that. It's like we're going shopping, we're picking up things and we're taking them, they're all in our basket as we go. And as I said, this feels a little bit different as it has in the past with this reading. So February is also going to include that world experience where we are complete. We're in a new world. There is a feeling of completion. There's a feeling of being different and of becoming different. And so then it carries on into this Seven of Pentacles. Who am I now? What do I do now? I do think for a lot of people this is going to be a career shift. In the one-to-one private sessions I've been doing recently with this holiday special, a lot of the people that I've been speaking to have been discussing or wanting to know more about how do I live in more alignment with my spirituality or my intuition, or all of those things. And I feel like this is really very much happening in February. Collectively, it's this, okay, there's more. There's an experience of more with this seven. There's more that I want to be. And I would just pose it as a question. Take that time. Don't leave. And this comes up every time as well when someone comes and says to me, I hate my job, I need to leave it. This seven is saying, kind of like stay where you are and understand why you're there. Reap the rewards first. So it's saying don't try to take action before you have kind of like milked all the goodness and the gold and the practicalities, the practical stuff from where you are. It might not be that apparent. You might think, oh, this is awful. This card is saying, no, it's not. There is more. There's more to do. There's more to become. There's more to evolve into. But make sure you've looked strongly and given some good time and focus to what you already have. And I would say that for anything. If you want to manifest anything or change anything, first you've got to be where you are and appreciate where you are. because there's a reason why you're there. Because otherwise you're just going to take, you know, if you take the mindset that created where you are, you're going to take that with you, unless you learn the lessons essentially of what you've manifested already and what you're experiencing. So for March, carrying on, another extra energy, the Five of Swords. Had a feeling there was going to be something a little bit challenging there. Again, this carries on from this Seven of Pentacles. I want to become more, and in that process, there could be a little bit of conflict. There may be people that you need to let down. I think for a lot of people, and if you're watching this for sure, whether you're live or whether you're watching the recording, whether this is December 2019, January 2020, November 2020, it really doesn't matter. At this time now, it's relevant. It's kind of indicative of a fallout, of conflict. And I feel like it's saying that you are becoming more of yourself in the world, for want of a better phrase. And there's a shift involved in this world card, in that January energy and in that beingness. And then there's this kind of, who do I want to be? And then when we step into becoming that more, some people don't like it. People don't like, I feel like I want to show you this card. People don't like this kind of, you're the winner. In this Five of Swords, so you are the victor, you win. But in this, there's this experience that other people lose. I don't feel like it's true though. It's not true. The swords are really not about truth for me. They are about truth. All experiences are true. But for me, the Ace of Swords is the only truth that can really exist, because it's in the present moment and it's kind of there and then it's gone. The more swords build up, the more challenging it gets within the tarot. And it's because it's essentially bringing us out of truth, which can only really exist in the present. So with these Five Swords, it's an experience, yeah, but can it be changed and shifted? Is it really happening, or is it a perspective? The perspective in this Five of Swords is, I'm causing people problems. I win and someone else has to lose. There is a little message here and a capacity here for you to be a little bit heavy-handed with, this is who I am now, and if you're not kind of careful about the way that path is forged and you step through onto this new way of being, and if you're not, there's a capacity that if you're not aware enough, sensitive enough to your environment and your surroundings and the people around you, there is the capacity there within that Five of Swords that you will hurt some people that you don't really want to hurt. So there's a little bit of a question here. Who do you want to keep in your life and who do you want to go? What do you want to stay and what do you want to go? That's March, springtime. April, the High Priestess. Nice big major arcana. Really like that in that place. This is high intuition. High intuition, high spirituality, divine feminine energy, I feel, is coming in with a bang in April. This is powerful, powerful stuff. This High Priestess is I don't want people to attach to the feminine too much, essentially. As in, I'm going to say as in kind of like some kind of female savior, but it feels like that. It's almost like this Christ consciousness, divine feminine energy, like a Magdalene kind of energy, an Isis energy. It doesn't really matter the story, the narrative, the avatar, the person, the being. It doesn't really matter how it arrives, but this is a very, very strong divine feminine is what I can call it, teacher energy, and that can be you, or it can arrive in your life. It will arrive in your life through you, or it can arrive in your life through another. I say that because this is a really big energy. It's almost like a saintly kind of energy, and it's very, very powerful. It's very, very high intuition, and it's going to impact, it's going to be part of you. That energy is going to be part of you. It's power. communication, and it's teaching of the highest level. It's teaching by example. It's inspiring by example. But for everybody, there's going to be higher intuition, more psychic awareness, more ability to really feel into things, more kind of what I call woo-woo stuff, which this is kind of woo-woo stuff, right? More of that. And I'm going to say it feels like the female savior. I'm going to say it because that's what keeps coming up, like the female savior. Kept coming through for me that 2020 is the year of clear vision. And we can say that that high priestess has very clear vision. It's almost like the leadership arrives, and here she is. I like it very much. May we have the Ace of Swords, as I was just talking about the Ace of Swords. It's clarity, it's truth, it's communication, and it comes after this high priestess energy. However that high priestess energy manifests in your life, it doesn't matter. It's not about attaching it to a being, because it's almost like truth descends. It's what it feels like. Truth, power, direction. I keep getting all these kind of goddess names kind of being thrown at me that I can hear. But it's kind of difficult. You can't give her or it a name, but what she brings with her is truth and communication. And if you're watching this, she's speaking through you. That consciousness is in you. So it's going to use you to speak. So it's almost as though, I really feel like if you're watching this, it's almost like this is part of your destiny. You can't undo it. It's just, it's almost like a collective group. There's a collective, a soul, we can call it a soul group, or a soul kind of collective that has this divine feminine truth speaker, hearing all these kind of words sound like not like soothsayer, soothsayer, truth speaker kind of thing. And that energy is going to be present. So it's almost like, for May, it's almost like that film Liar Liar, that when that big Ace of Swords energy is present, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do apart from really speak your truth, be in the truth. What I also love about the aces, as I said before, is they're about presence. They're about being in the moment. They're about being in the now. This is a really, really massive year. This is the year where everything we've been waiting for is happening in terms of living unconditional love. It feels like, I even want to kind of talk about the Mayan calendar and how 2012 was supposed to be the year. And I kind of feel like, actually, feels like 2020 is the year, even though 2012 was going to shift. It feels like this is the year that the big shift is. We kind of like turn the page and step into this new calendar. And it does feel as though there's some kind of feminine energy that seems to be calling the shots, shall we say. And that Ace of Swords arrives, it says that only the truth can be told and the truth will win. There can be and seem as though there are a lot of things going on culturally or politically in our worlds, in our countries, in our cultures, in our religions, all of these things. But I really feel the energy for this 2020 year is of truth, of clarity, and of union. What unites us is who we are, our humanity. When we really step into our humanity, complete it with no lack, with no experience of lack, essentially. We do not need to project that lack or that shadow, essentially, onto another. And so it really transforms the way that we perceive the whole world. That really is the crux of that world card. So when we grab a hold of who we are, and then we speak our truth directly through this Ace of Swords, we become extremely powerful, especially through this divine feminine energy, which is what I feel in this High Priestess, which turns up there in April. What I kind of feel like I want to finish that thought, or that idea, which is that it might seem now that things are not going well, that the leaders are not good leaders or not good people or whatever, however we want to kind of frame things. And this is saying that you are your leader. You are the leader. You create your world. And that's how you change the world. You change the world by changing, essentially by being who you are and speaking your truth. The world must respond to your truth. Must. So don't be afraid. Do not be afraid of anything or anyone outside of what you feel to be true and good and right. That doesn't mean hold on to righteousness. That doesn't mean you need other people to perceive you to be right. It's not this is the right way for everyone, or this is the right thing, blanket. It's this is the right thing for me in this moment. That's what that Ace of Swords is about. Moving into June, we have the Six of Wands. These are such great cards. Six of Wands is victory. So there's victory over, I feel like it's just what I was talking about. Something's going to happen in June. Let's pull some more cards on this June card. Let's just see. Oh, wow. Awesome. So, yeah, the victory in June, it's about this career stuff. Starts off in February with this 7. Career, day to day, doesn't really matter. It can be specific jobs or careers. It can be in that kind of vein, or it's just how we spend our time day to day. As per this 7 of Pentacles, it's, I'm in the garden weeding, or I'm building a shed, or I'm building a wall. It doesn't really matter. It's the practical application of time, focus, and attention in the world. It is also very much connected to wealth, money, abundance, an abundant experience. That's what we seek. An experience where we feel fulfilled. The fulfillment, I feel, really hits in June, because that 7 then becomes the 8 of Pentacles, which then jumps to this 10 of Pentacles, and then this Emperor energy. For twin flame couples, I'm just going to call it twin flame couples, twin flame experiences, there is a very, very big chance of, I would say, success in terms of marriage, commitment, and also this masculine energy with the Emperor. This masculine energy really being fulfilled, really being present. But this 10 is really about having it all. I've been feeling and channeling a lot in regard to the whole twin flame story, and for twin flames, about money, about abundance, about really making friends with those kind of things, because I feel as though the world wants twin flames to have clout, to have resources. It literally, the word is resources. It's the resources are at your fingertips, and it's not about attachment. It's not about I'm important or whatever, or I because I have this or I don't have that. But it's grasping that your destiny is to experience is to have the resources that you need to do the job that you need to do. And for so many people on twin flame journeys, it's been difficult, it's challenging, it's really challenging. Everything in life has its equal opposite reaction. Everything is two things. So it's almost as though there's a payoff, but if you're not open to receiving it, you're not going to receive it. And that's when the suffering, the difficulty, the challenge becomes overwhelming. But I feel like there's a simple message for June, which is that's when the success comes. This 8 of Pentacles is about work, as in it is about doing things. It's about taking action, and it's about action. I feel like it's saying that it might begin in February, but then it's in June when then the action can start happening. So for March, April, May, it's more of an internal kind of shift, a shift of you in the world that's away from that story that's going to happen. But it's almost like this big divine feminine kind of figure needs to be fulfilled, and then this kind of truth talking, and then it, you know, it makes complete sense. That's when the payoff comes, when we are completely who we are, talking our truth. I think it's I can't remember where the quote is, but it basically is that happiness is when what we think, what we do, and what we say are the same thing, or exact, where there's no difference between what we're thinking, what we're saying, and what we're doing. That's happiness. That's contentedness. That's what that Ace of Swords is about. And then it makes sense that that's when life starts manifesting or giving back, because that's what it wants from you. Very big message. That's what life wants from you. Moving into July, Temperance. Awesome. I was getting, not worried, but a little bit, a little bit worried about people hearing that it's this feminine thing and kind of feeling like that was the most important, because it's not about trying to, it's not about this or that, it's about both. So if this person's speaking or this energy is speaking, it's just, well, that's the person that's speaking right now. It doesn't mean that the other doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that the other isn't important. This Temperance really represents the masculine, feminine energies flowing, moving, being together. Ease, flow, no difficulty, no issues. Again, ease of communication. I feel like for the year, there is a lot of ease of communication through this Page of Cups. There's a lot of ease of giving, of being love, of giving love freely. Really, we cannot give love freely. I want to talk a little bit more about this. We cannot we cannot give love freely if we are not being love. If we're not loving ourselves first. How we love ourselves first is to receive from life. Life's always abundant, and life is always giving us love. When we truly connect to life, what is happening, nature's a really, really good one for this, then we can experience ourselves as part of that energy, which I would call love. It's just what is happening. It's consciousness, it's awareness, it's all that isness, it is godness, it is divinity, it is the divine. When we can allow that to kind of like become us, then it's very easy for us to love generously, easily, and unconditionally. And that's that Page of Cups love energy. When we speak from that place, it's always received well, because essentially it's not coming from us, it's moving through us, but moving through you, which is a powerful separate being. So, you know, there's a lot of good communication, but again, within masculine and feminine, again, drawn to this twin flame story or relationship story. Temperance is about communication, flow, balance, masculine and feminine energies moving together, flowing. There's always a flow. There's always duality. It's either here or it's there. But essentially, the water is love. The water is life. The water is movement. The only constant is change. The movement is life. So it's not that, again, as I said, it's not that just because this person is speaking doesn't mean the other person isn't part of life and what is happening. So there's back and forth, but there's peace and balance and in that, and it's really, really beautiful. Really loving this spread. As I can see it now, the world is right at the top at 12 o'clock, and we have Temperance down here at 6 o'clock, so that's lovely. At the end of the spread, I might just see how they're interplaying across the circle and see if there's any other messages in there. So July, moving on to August. Oh, I knew there was going to be something interesting here. I can feel it. So August is the devil. We've got to be careful. Everything goes round in cycles, as I'm just kind of noticing with the circle of this spread. The devil represents attachment, big major arcana cards, lots of lovely major arcana cards here. So straight after that Temperance comes the Devil. The Devil represents the invitation, essentially, to attach to a story, to attach to a narrative. It's to, essentially, it's to stop the movement. So what happens is, how I would describe attachment is to want to stop the movement of life. So this Temperance, as I discussed in that card, there's the movement in the water between the two cups. That's life happening, that's life moving. But it's almost like we want to take a photograph. Kind of like this is still, right? I'm saying it's moving, but it's still. So if we keep it still though, it's not moving. That's attachment. Attachment is, it's almost like you want to stop life, you want to take a photograph, and I never ever want it to change. This is perfect, I don't want it to change. And so we get attached essentially to a time, to a situation, to a circumstance. And it makes sense that it comes after this Temperance because it's such a great place. Why wouldn't you want to be there all the time? But it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So there is the capacity within this Devil card for a lot of difficulty in terms of addiction, obsession, you know, kind of, it feels like you grab onto something so hard that you hurt yourself in the process. It can also manifest as the feeling of being trapped, but the truth is one is not. You are not trapped if you feel trapped in this. When this card comes up in personal readings, and especially recently, it really represents being okay with this side of love. So there's always a bright side and a dark side to everything. So there's a bright side to the Devil, okay? And the bright side to the Devil is the ability to look at difficult, challenging things, attachment, obsession, addiction, delusion maybe even, as part of love. As part of life, therefore part of love. And it really is part of love. It's okay to experience obsession. It's not okay to, essentially, it's not okay to do what I just said, which is just stay in one place. So if you're constantly in obsession, that's not going to feel great, right? But to notice if obsession arises, if this devil energy arises, to just notice and say, it's an opportunity for love to look and love to see and love to reveal these things. So there are lots of capacity, there's capacity for lots of different experience within that Devil card in that August position. There's the capacity for it to be love, shining upon obsession, attachment, addiction, you know, all of that stuff. Even adultery, you know, plays out in, it's all this kind of, all these stories that are rife for judgment, for us to judge them. It's saying that could happen, but it's love, it's an opportunity for love to reveal those things and to allow them to be. And in the allowing them to be, they shift and change. This is the irony with the Devil. The Devil only really represents attachment, as I said, as an attachment being, I want this to stay as it is. This is what I want. It needs to stay here. It can't change, essentially control. Or the belief that something can't change. So I am stuck in this experience because it can't change. It's not true though. It's just not true. But it's a really great card, and it makes sense, like I said, that it comes after this Temperance, because it's almost like it feels so good and so flowing and so amazing. I just want it to stay, but then it can quickly descend into, it's like addiction to a situation. We've got to constantly surrender to the flow of life and the movement, to keep in the movement of life. And how we do that in that Devil energy is just to be the love that observes it and loves it. That doesn't mean we put up with abusive behavior from others. Unconditionally loving doesn't mean that we allow ourselves to be hurt or abused in the process. it's not that it's not about layering something pretty over something that's not pretty. That's not love. Because it's never going to feel good. If it doesn't feel good, it's not love. That's very important to know. But it is possible to look at something that we don't like and not feel bad about it. Then it's love. I think that's a useful distinction to make. So August, September, 4 of Pentacles. So it begins to get a little bit tricky around this August, September, kind of when the year moves on. I think the beginning of the year is extremely powerful, and just ride that wave, and it puts us in a completely new place. And especially towards June, July, it gets really, really good. Then this devil kind of a little bit throws a spanner in the works. But I also feel like that's supposed to happen. It's just life, that it goes kind of like this, or the trajectory can't always go like this all the time. It's kind of a bit boring. So it kind of wants to go up, and then it has a little dip maybe, or it's not really, it has a dip, but its speed slows down, like life slows down a bit. But then there's a residue here with this 4, because this 4 is about being a little bit stingy, holding back. It doesn't feel so free-flowing, so abundant as this 8 of Pentacles, 10 of Pentacles. It's that there's a little bit of a slow down in terms of what I would call abundance in our material experience. But it's not that it's gone anywhere. It's just that it's kind of staying. It's not growing. It's staying. It doesn't mean that we're losing. And I do feel like this 4 is kind of saying, yeah, hold on to it. Don't necessarily give it away. Be careful with your time, your focus, and your attention. Be very careful where you're putting it. Be discerning. Don't waste anything. Please don't waste it. I'm going to pull a few more cards again on that 4, just maybe one card. Yeah, what's going on here? So the card I pulled is the Judgment card. So this kind of tells me that it's a bit of a pause. It's where things aren't growing so much, as I said. It's more that we need to kind of sit on this card. Why though? It's so that this judgment can happen. So it's almost like there's a little bit of a pause and a little bit of a stop in life, just getting better and better and better and better. But it's kind of like to reconnect to the divine. It's to balance out our humanity and our divinity. So it's almost like I feel as though the humanity part could have gotten a little bit too intense maybe from this devil energy. It's what we call all that heavier stuff. It's almost like Adam and Eve are on the Lovers card. The Devil card is kind of like the reflection of that. So it's almost like that story when we fall from grace into when humans realize that they're not, they cease to be gods almost and become less than, or even like the devil is the fallen angel, right? So it's this whole idea of the fallen angel. So it's almost like we get a little bit too deep into the human aspect maybe, and it's not that the human aspect is wrong or not good, but it's almost like we can get sucked into the stories and we can forget the oneness, the greatness, the love, the energy, that life. So this judgment is just about reconnecting with it. So it's good. It's a bit of a pause and a stop so we can reconnect that divinity and that humanity up into up again, because it can feel quite separate in that devil energy. So now it's when it gets complicated and I lose where my months have gone. So that's July, August, September. For October, Page of Wands. So another shift. So I get around this kind of end of summer in the Northern Hemisphere, moving into fall, autumn in the Northern Hemisphere. There's just a little bit of a pause and a shift of the way, again, changing the way that we experience things, look at things and perceive things, and begin to go into a planning period again. There's a shift again, I feel. So there's a big shift, January, big shift again with the High Priestess in April. So we've got the World for January. April, we have the High Priestess. It's really interesting. There's this kind of some major arcana, like in these prominent kind of north, south, east, west positions. Then it's almost like from that April, there's awesome, you know, May, June, July, amazing. August, then it kind of gets a bit, you know, again, there's a bit of a slowdown, and it's like we looking into our, essentially it's the ego and all that kind of stuff, all the kind of, it's good stuff. It's really good human stuff, the fun. It's actually the fun stuff. It's the fun stuff where we're not just feeling bliss and perfection all the time. We get to explore all this other kind of stuff. But then there's this kind of other, it's more subtle shift, because that judgment card isn't there for September. It's part of the September. It's part of the exploration of this, which is about, as I said, holding back, maybe actually being careful with your time, your money, and your focus. Which we always need to be, but it's kind of saying it's slowing things down so that we can reconnect up to our calling, our destiny, our divinity. You reconnecting with who you are, taking a bit of a time out. And then it makes sense that after that, with this Page of Wands in October, another little shift. Who do I want to be? It's different though. It's not kind of, it's not so, it's already done. As I kind of said with that World card at the beginning, it's already happened. This is, I kind of feel like the big strong messages. You got to know this has all already happened. You don't really need to do anything. You just got to be you and turn up every day and desire love, desire, and that really is just life itself. And desire yourself, and it will just all unfold because it's already done. But this, in the kind of story of it, this page, it's not so big as who am I in the world, who do I want to be, because that's already done. It's more subtle shifts in perspective. It's more like, oh, that thing that I thought. So it's almost like we build this great house, or you're living a great life, and you're in an amazing place, and then you notice, oh, that's just a bit, that's changed, or that's not how I thought it was, or I never noticed that before. It's more that kind of like, I never noticed that before. How do I feel about that? Do I want that? So there's a bit of an exploration, but shifts in perspective. It could be that people show sides of themselves that you haven't seen before. Subtle shifts in relationship. Seeing more. I feel like there's a big kind of union, like I said, in terms of the twin flame story around this June, July kind of period. And then it always triggers, everything is always kind of backwards and forwards. That's life. It's always getting better, but it's almost like, the way I experience it is that it's boring if we're always going the same speed. So it's like we slow down, so it's like we go fast and then we stop. Sometimes we stop, but really we slow. And then we go fast and then we stop. So it's not that we're going backwards. It's that we're just kind of resting. We're not moving as fast as we were. And that's what it feels like. So it feels very fast, very big growth and abundance with this victory. And very specifically as well with the masculine there in June. And then there feels like there's a lot of relating, a lot of interrelations, a lot of relationship happening in this July, August, September time, which can be, this is kind of what brings the challenge, because it's almost like a three-legged race. When we're running by ourselves and we're sprinting, we can go really fast. So then we kind of join together with someone, and then we have to learn how to, you know, run together. And that's kind of, I feel like when it's up leveling, it's still an up level. If something gets difficult, it doesn't mean that you're going backwards. It means that you got to slow down to make sure you get it right. Like when you're learning a piece of music on a musical instrument, you've got to kind of sometimes it can be easy, but then it kind of goes up and gets more difficult. You have to slow down so that you can kind of learn it and get it right. That's what happens there. But then it creates this shift, and it's like, oh, this is actually different. This is not how I thought it was going to be even. This is different. What I like about the pages is, again, it's very human. It's really a kind of revolution. I really feel like it's seeing our humanity. You're going to see your humanity with different eyes, more and more through these eyes of love. And it's going to be like, oh, wow, this is actually quite normal, or it's actually quite boring, or it's, you know, just a different, it doesn't really matter how that shift manifests, whether it's from what it is from and moves into. It doesn't really matter. You know, it could be it's great and then, oh, it's not so great, or it's not so great and it's great, or it's not even that. It's more like it's different. It doesn't matter what is different. It's just seeing it slightly differently from this very human, very, very grounded perspective, which I really, really like. It's quite difficult for me to communicate that Page of Wands. It's quite difficult to articulate. So I hope you can feel into that. Maybe I'll just put this Page of Wands up for you so you can like really have a look at him. Well, that's the best place for it. Just see that Page of Wands and kind of like see how that feels to you. Look at those pyramids. It's interesting. Maybe there's travel involved. Okay. Moving on to November, Ace of Pentacles. Amazing. I love this huge pentacle party we're having this year. I do think there's a big kind of business focus, career focus. Like I said, it began in February. It seemed to pick up here in June. It's there again with this 4 in, I think, September. But then it's almost like it begins again. There's new opportunity. So this little slowdown, like I said, that happens in July, August, September, October. October's when it begins to kind of shift, but it happens so that we can change our perspective. It's going to really shift our perspective. And then it really makes sense that there's a new energy that comes in for November with this Ace of Pentacles. And I think it feels very related with this thread that started in February. So it's about practical day-to-day material things. It's about wealth. It's about money. It's about career. It's about how you spend your day-to-day. It's about taking action, building something, building a life, building a self that's in a life that feels fulfilling and feels powerful and feels as though you receive as much as you give. It's so important. And that's the shift, I think, for people that are living in unconditional love and higher love. This is the year where the receiving is as much as the giving. And if you have felt as though you haven't been receiving, this year is kind of like the windfall. This is when it all comes in. But it is very important, as I said at the beginning, that you open up in January to this new world. It's extremely important. I myself are being drawn to do more and more and more to create a system of support and growth and to channel these messages to get to the people that it can make a difference to. That it can be something subtle, but it requires commitment. It requires commitment to the self, to you. This is the year where if you can really commit to you as love, so essentially you're committing to life, you're committing to yourself as part of life and part of love. When you do that, that's when the payoffs hit. And there's a big payoff here in November. So can manifest with that Ace of Pentacles as new career opportunities, a windfall, money coming in. I have a client or someone I work with regularly. Every time I get her cards out, there's lots and lots of pentacles, and it's always great and good, you know, and windfalls and things. And then it happens, you know, there's a windfall, a really big windfall, because she was brave, because we have to commit. It's about faith. This This is such a big message, this Ace of Pentacles, about faith, about how when we believe that the resources are there, and it doesn't matter how they show up, but it's what we need. It's waking up with the experience that everything we need is at our fingertips, and that is different for every single individual. It requires faith. I always like to talk about these hands in the aces on the tarot as the hands of God. So it's like it's a gift from the universe. It comes from life itself. It's free. It's free if we believe in the abundance and the goodness and the presence of God, life, the universe. If we believe that it provides, it provides. So, but it does require the belief that it provides. If you do not believe that it provides and you go about your life trying to make it happen, essentially trying to make security, trying to make life, essentially it's because you don't believe that it's going to support you unconditionally. And you believe that it's your responsibility, essentially, to hold the whole universe up, because there's nothing there that's actually keeping it together. This is where all this fear comes from that creates a whole lot of the narratives that get us into trouble, politically, culturally, in every single, socially. Because we just don't believe, that the world supports us. And so whether we then feel downtrodden socially, or we feel as though someone else, either we feel we're the victim or somebody else is the victim, so it's either I'm the victim, please help me, or you're the victim, I need to help you. Essentially, what's missing is that life does provide. And that might sound crazy in those contexts, and people don't like to hear or believe that it is your birthright to have everything that you desire. But I'm telling you now, it is your birthright to have and experience everything that you desire. The way that you will experience that is to have faith that, very simply, if you desire it, it exists. Your desires, when you allow yourself to experience them fully, which a lot of people don't, but the twin flame experience will very, very much connect us up to desire and who we want to be and how we want to be, who we are in the world. If you are able to come into contact with those desires from this place of, from the unique you that is born when you connect to the love that is all that is. When you surrender to life and to you as part of life, you will find the you that is true as part of that jigsaw. And that you has desires. I call it true desire, pure desire. It's essentially not of the ego, but it is of the self. It's unique to you. You have those desires because that's your job as a beautiful, perfect, stunning, unique, amazing part of the orchestra of the universe. Your job is to experience your desires. That's why you have them. If you have faith that it will all be there and provided and given to you, then it comes very easily. I feel like if you're here, you got it. So, maybe I'm preaching to the choir. Is it preaching to the choir, preaching to the converted, whatever. But that Ace of Pentacles, I feel like that Ace of Pentacles really wanted to speak there and explain itself. That windfall, that gift from life can come if you believe that life can provide. It doesn't mean that you sit on your bum or sit on your butt not doing anything for the whole year. That's not, that's not the way it works either. It is about living. But it's about living in faith that life will provide and support, and it will. And this year, it does. This year, it does. This is the year where, like I said, you may have experienced for years up until now that you feel as though you're giving way more than you're receiving. This is the year of receiving. Or it's the year of balance, shall we say. It's the year of completion. December, King of Wands, interesting. So we have that Page of Wands, and then he kind of evolves into the King of Wands. There haven't been that many court cards. The overarching kind of theme of the year is a court card, this Page of Cups, as I've discussed. The King of Wands, though, is kind of like my favourite card of this year, probably. And it's because the King of Wands, for a couple of years, didn't really speak very strongly to me. It was like he didn't exist. I couldn't find him. I didn't know what he was saying. I didn't know what he meant. I didn't know what he was about. Just didn't know. And then about 6 weeks ago, I think it was 6 or 8 weeks ago, he made himself known. And he represents the masculine, intuitive seer, visionary, the genuine masculine, intuitive energy, which is not feminine. This is the thing, it's masculine intuition, which completely exists. And it's not like it doesn't exist and suddenly it exists. But it's almost like it's the character of a masculine character that is the visionary, the seer. He is the seer. The King of Wands is the seer, the one that sees and can communicate from that. And he's a king. He's powerful. He's majestic. He's regal. He knows exactly what he's doing. This whole year is going to be about the emergence of the seer, of the masculine feminine. That big masculine energy hits with the Emperor in June, right? It's in a really good place. The Emperor, when he's in a good place, is about support, authority, direction, leadership. In a really good, solid, trustworthy way. There's a very strong masculine presence here, but this intuitive masculine is slightly different. He's the visionary. He's kind of the speaker. He's almost the prophet. He's not the prophet, but because that word is a little bit too loaded with things that aren't really true. So it's almost like he is the prophet, but to use that word is not really going to work. But he is this visionary masculine, and I really feel like this whole year is about his emergence. And this is kind of what a lot of more feminine oriented people and more kind of on my masculine feminine readings, if you're kind of experiencing yourself on the feminine side, it's been that there's been very strong intuition, very strong synchronicities, noticing things, symbols, signs, all of that stuff. That's the language of the seer. He reads the symbols. He reads he reads the symbolic, what do you want to say, the signs, the symbols, the synchronicities. He reads those. He has been dormant. He has been really dormant. It's almost a kind of wizard-like kind of energy as well, but that doesn't work either. It's the seer is the word that I have that makes the most sense, but I feel as though the whole of the year is really about his emergence, and he is coming to meet the feminine, who is being represented by the Queen of Wands in the deck for a while as the intuitive feminine, with the intuitive ability, the seeing, the signs, the symbols, the synchronicities. He hasn't necessarily been that strong on that masculine side, or he hasn't like been grounded in it and rooted in it. That King of Wands is really very much rooted in it, and I feel like this is the circle on where it's going for the year. Let's get a bit of an outcome card, shall we say. Oh, 4 of Cups. I love this. I love this in connection to this Page of Cups. It's about receiving. It's a very, very simple, very, very, very strong message for the year. So the Page of Cups is exactly as I explained. It's about giving from this place of love. It's about unconditionally giving. We unconditionally give, and it just flows from us. It flows through. It flows through us, and then we can only love unconditionally when we are essentially allowing ourselves to become love. So essentially, it's not about, it doesn't feel like giving. It doesn't require anything in return because it doesn't feel like giving. It feels like being. It's natural, and it just occurs naturally. This 4 is a little bit of a warning maybe, but not really a warning. It's related again to this faith that I talked about, because what I love about this 4 of Cups is it's the only other card that's got this little, what I call the hand of God, or let's call it the hand of faith. The hand of faith that giveth. That's what I feel it is. And this this cup, it's like an ace of cups. This ace of cups is unconditional love. It's love, communication, feeling that's given easily. But in this Four of Cups card, the figure is kind of missing out, because he's looking at these other three cups. He's missing this receiving. So I feel like it's a very important message to receive unconditionally. This is about receiving unconditional love. It's also understanding that love is everything. Whatever emerges, whatever arises, it might be the devil. Receive it. It's love. It might not be what we like. We might not want to shift perspective. We might not want to keep being called up to something higher and something better and something more. We might not want that. But we have to receive it graciously. But also, it is about being open to receiving unconditionally. If nobody is able to receive, then the giving has nowhere to go. It's revering receiving as much as we revere giving. It's so powerful. We will not be able to have the resources that we need to create, manifest this world that is already here, that is better, that is brighter, that you want, the world that you create for yourself, that is already here, that this year is about manifesting, moving into, embracing, really experiencing. That requires that you receive the stuff, whatever it is that you need in order to create it. So it's almost like, yeah, you got to have the vision. You got to know, is it already done? Yes. But at the same time, when life gives you the components, which is essentially what is happening in this moment, this is the components, the pieces that life is giving you to build that life from. You got to take them all. And again, it's about worthiness. It's about, you've got to know that receiving this huge love is as important as giving it. It cannot happen. One cannot happen without the other. So this feels like, it's almost like we go full circle. And at the end of the year, it's almost like, it's not like a test, but it is. It's like, can you let life love you as much as you love life? And I also feel like this is about the relationship stuff, about the twin flame stuff. Can you let yourself be loved to the equal extent that you want to give, that you feel the love to give? Can you receive as much love as you are inspired to give through the twin flame experience? That's the invitation. That's the invitation for 2020. But I got to go back to it. It is already done. Is this about creating a new world? Yes. Do we begin with it? Yes. Is it just about allowing ourselves to expand into it, through our perspectives, through our being in the moment, through our allowing life to use us as beautiful beings of love? Yes. That's how it happens. But the big message is, it is all already done. It is already here. But having said that, on the other hand, yes, this year is about experiencing it. And in order to experience it, we must allow ourselves to receive the resources that we need in order to create in every moment the life that we want to live. And there's only one that you need to focus on, and it's yours, your world. Focus within. Everything comes from within. And that's it. So thank you so much for your presence. If you would like a yearly reading of your own, they're bookable up until the 5th of January when I'm stopping this special. Half an hour readings are now $111. Full hour readings are $222. For the year, I would recommend an hour, but if you only have half, we only have half, and we'll do what we can do. I do think this is a really powerful year. I want to say thank you to everyone that I engage with and is here. Your presence is so powerful. This is really powerful stuff and really powerful messages, and they only happen because of you, genuinely. So thank you very much. Huge love. I'm really sorry if you missed this because you were trying to get to the other link. I just could not make that link work, so it had to happen here. The replay will be up and available though consistently if you're watching the replay. Hi, thank you. And yeah, so what's available? Oh, also, yes, doing a masterclass on the 5th of January. So that is Sunday, the 5th of January, 2020, January the 5th, 2020, it's 11 a.m. Eastern, I believe, yes, 4 p.m. GMT UK time, which is where I am at right now. It's free, but you must register on the link below because it's happening through my own website. So you've got to register on the link below. A few people are there already. I had to postpone it. It was going to be today, but this needed to happen today instead. So yes, it's 7 steps, or the 7 things you need to know to experience, I'm going to call it twin flame freedom, but really it's about a process of awakening to love, to really, really live that love. To be honest, it's about all of this. And I genuinely want every single individual to experience this freedom, this abundance. This is you. There's so much in this reading. It was so much you present. There's no moment whereby you're not doing what you want to do, or with the wrong people, or in the wrong place, or at the wrong time. It's all in complete alignment. And that is my commitment to you. And every single thing that I do, that is my commitment to you. You. I want you to be you. And to consistently develop the perspectives and skills to be able to find that and find that and find that. And to not suffer in relationship, in twin flame stories, and any of that stuff, to really understand that the gift, and to thrive. And I promise you, you can be, do, or have anything. And I'm absolutely 100% committed to you doing that. So congratulations. It's amazing. You're amazing. You are way more amazing than you know, even if you know you're amazing. And thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure. This is my absolute joy. Thank you so much for enabling me to do it. And I'm online every day, Monday to Friday, with the daily tarot cards. Please make sure you check those out every day. Just giving as much as I can, and trying to find the best ways to just get messages out, get the info out. So yeah, keep tuned, and hit the bell if you haven't already about getting notifications, because I also randomly have videos that I know I'm going to be uploading, and you just want to see them when they come out. Don't miss them, because you know YouTube has an algorithm that you can miss them. So if you really are interested in getting those, please do make sure you're getting notifications when they come through, because otherwise you probably will miss them. And for anyone that's back and new, or now it's Higher Love Tarot, was psychic consultants, or didn't know what I look like, I was psychic consultants, it was just my hands for 4 years. Now I'm showing my face because it's more fun that way, and because that was what I was doing on, you know, kind of privately, and I wanted to move that into the public arena. If you're coming back, thank you. It's great to have you. I'm sorry that I became difficult to find. Yeah, just feel like I needed to address that too. Yeah, loads of love. If you want to book a personal private reading before the 5th, make sure you do it before the 5th. It's bookable up until the end of January, I think. It's like 29th or something. They're bookable up until then, or it might be the 21st. But you will not be able to book these after the 5th, because I'm going to be moving on to do something different. So, just saying. All right then. Loads of love. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I'll see you again soon on another video. somewhere, sometime, someplace. You're amazing.